Welcome to this mini podcast series that is a preview for Brisbane Designscape Reconnect 23, a live event being held in Brisbane on the 4th of November 2023, hosted by Officescape. The theme for the day is Reconnect. My name is Paul Fairweather and I'm the curator and MC for the day. And in this series of short interviews, I chat with the speakers and presenters about their ideas, insights, stories, and observations about reconnection in their life, business, passion, or career. Today's guest on the mini podcast for Brisbane Designscape is Jason Bird. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
So, Jason, you're coming along to have a chat with me at the day on the 4th of November about connection. And I suppose in some ways, reconnection, and it's a bit of our reconnection because it's been a while since we've been on the stage together.
Yeah, it is. But we've shared the stage and we've shared many exciting things over our design career.
Correct. Now, when we were chatting earlier, you were sort of saying that, one of the things that sprang to mind when you spoke about reconnection was how, your business at the moment is burning in the States. And it was actually, a lot of it's come from a reconnection when you were there many years ago. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I've lived and worked in North America a few times now. As a young designer, not long out of university, I worked in California for a number of years. And then in the mid-2000s, did it again, setting up a factory and whatnot for a company in the lighting world. And of course, my connections from back when I actually worked as a designer for a lighting company in San Francisco remained when I went back there to set up the business that I was setting up. And so that was a great foundation for me in that area, great connections to follow the theme. But it's interesting now that I'm back again. I'm back in the same area. We set up our business in San Francisco again in about 2016. So again, I'm finding that those foundations that I laid all those years ago are still there, and there's just some great people and some great contacts, and it's a very inclusive industry. It's a very active industry, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area. So it's just wonderful to be back there every now and then. And people actually think I'm from there and treat me as one of their own, which is interesting. And, I have to smile a little bit because I bob in and out a fair bit, but I don't actually live there.
Well, it must be that accent, that American accent you have.
Yeah, well, we all try to tone down our Aussie accent when we travel, right?
Now, sort of just going back when we started together years ago and we did a product together, but then you and a group of designers, 6 or 7 of you, had a thing called Quench. And it was, I suppose, in some ways a bit of fun, but it did actually have tentacles that went around the world. It also sort of paved the way in terms of connections for your, when you got serious and growing up about taking your business internationally.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a great time, and I mean, we were supported generously by the Queensland government back then. But it was a great time in that design in Queensland was really at the forefront in Australia. Our southern counterparts were very envious of our group, our funding, our ambition, our collegiate sort of environment that we had. We were all mates. They don't seem to behave that way down south. But, the great thing about it was this sort of design advocacy we were doing about Queensland and about Australian design all over the world. And, I really think, it's probably been almost 10 years, maybe a little less, since we finished that program. And I don't know that there's been much else happen in the design world since then. So, we've got a lot to offer in Australia and certainly in Queensland. And part of what we were doing was fostering the next generation as well. We were a group of designers that were, starting their careers mid-career and perhaps a somewhat mature career. So we were really fostering the next generation of designers, and and part of the program obviously was to do some local exhibitions around it and invite other young designers to sort of take part. And you know, I personally don't see as much of that happening anymore, and it would be great. You know, I think we've got a lot to offer, and I think some of these organisations in our country would do well to assist in international advocacy of design.
Listen, I do want to open that, explore that topic a little bit more when we get together for our chat on the 4th of November, particularly my role in the peripheral of that, and which was sort of interesting, and also the book you published back then. But we won't get into that today. We'll leave that for the 4th of November. So, Jason, look, thanks for the chat today, and thanks for agreeing to come along for a fireside chat on the 4th of November, Brisbane Designscape.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it, Paul. Thank you.
Tickets are now on sale. If you'd like to buy a ticket, available on the link below. Selling fast, so don't delay. Limited tickets. Cheers. I trust you enjoyed this short snippet preview for Brisbane Designscape Reconnect 23, live event being held on the 4th of November at 108 Wickham Street, Fortitude Valley. Tickets are now on sale, and you can just click on the link below in the show notes. Hope to see you there. Thanks for tuning in.